My people, have you ever watched someone throw away gold because they were chasing glitters? Let me tell you about Hannah. Hannah, who had one parent, one home, one heart, and chose to break all three in one decision. Hannah grew up in a small compound at the edge of St. Stephen's Town. The kind of compound where the gate creaked every morning, and the smell of thread and machine oil was always in the air. Her father, Papa Chike, was a tailor. Not a rich one, not a famous one, just a faithful one. He sat behind his sewing machine from morning to evening, threading needles, cutting fabric, measuring hems, making sure other people's children had uniforms for school and wrappers for ceremonies. He did all of this alone. Hannah's mother left when Hannah was 5 years old. Nobody talked about it openly. Not in the compound, not in the neighborhood, not in the family. But everyone knew. She had found another life elsewhere and did not look back. She left a 5-year-old girl and a man with a sewing machine and a broken chest. Papa Chike did not remarry. He did not bring another woman into his home. He simply folded his pain into his work and turned all his energy toward his daughter. Hannah was his only child, his only reason. He woke early to make sure she had food before school. He stayed up late to finish orders so her school fees would not delay. When she cried, he was the one who wiped it. When she laughed, he was the first to smile. The compound where they lived was humble but clean. Papa Chike swept it every morning himself. He planted a small garden at the side where he grew pepper and garden egg. The neighbors respected him, not because he had money, because he had dignity. Hannah grew up watching her father pour himself into his work and into her. She promised him without saying it with words. She promised him with her eyes every time he handed her a new school bag. She promised him with her results every term when she brought home good grades. She promised him with her behavior, quiet, obedient, careful. But promises made in childhood can forget themselves by the time a girl becomes a woman. Hannah was admitted into university and Papa Chike cried gently. He turned his face to the window and let his shoulders shake quietly. When he turned back, his eyes were red, but his chin was up. She went. University opened Hannah like a book that had never been touched. New streets, new voices, new faces, new freedoms. She wore her good sense for the first 2 years, studying hard, calling her father regularly, sending him pictures of her results. He would call back with pride in his voice so thick she could almost hold it in her hands. Well done, my daughter. God will reward you. Then she met Joel. Joel entered the lecture hall one afternoon like someone who had never heard the word struggle in his life. Clean sneakers, a wristwatch that caught the light before the rest of him. He smelled like money and talked like someone who had never waited for anything. His father owned transport companies in 3 states. His mother had boutiques in Lagos and Abuja. Joel had never sewn a button in his life. He had never sat beside a kerosene lamp studying because NEPA took light. He had never gone to school in a uniform that his father patched at the elbow because they could not afford a new one. He saw Hannah and he smiled. And Hannah, who had grown up with so little, felt something open inside her that she had not known was closed. Joe was attentive, generous. He paid for things without calculating. He took her to places she had only seen in phone screens. He called her his queen and bought her things without being asked. To a girl who had grown up watching her father count coins before shopping, Joe felt like the answer to a prayer she had not even prayed yet. She fell fast. Too fast. The kind of falling that does not give you time to check what is at the bottom. When the semester break came, Hannah told Joel she wanted to take him home. He agreed easily. He was that confident. That careless. They traveled to Umweke town together, Joel in his good clothes and Hannah with her heart full of pride. Papa Chike welcomed them, He made tea. He brought out the good cups he kept at the top shelf. He sat and he listened. He watched Joel speak. He watched how Joel crossed his legs. He watched how Joel answered questions. He watched the way Joel smiled with his mouth but not always his eyes. Papa Chike was a tailor. He knew how to study seams. He knew the difference between fabric that would last and fabric that would tear at the first pressure. He saw it in Joel before Hannah could. That evening, when Joel stepped outside to take a call, Papa Chike turned to his daughter. "Hannah," he said, his voice low and steady, "that boy is not who you think he is." She looked at him. "What do you mean, Papa?" He leaned forward. "He has never suffered a day in his life. A man who has never suffered does not know how to love. He only knows how to have." She opened her mouth. He raised his hand gently. "I am not insulting him. I am reading him. And what I read is this. That boy sees you as something to possess, not someone to protect." Hannah heard the words. She received them politely. She filed them away under the category of things fathers say when they are afraid of losing their daughters. She did not listen. Joel stayed 2 nights and left. On the journey back to school, he bought her a new phone. She forgot everything her father had said by the time the box was open. They graduated the following year. Joel proposed. Hannah said yes before he finished the sentence. Her heart was so full she did not notice how empty the ring felt on her finger the moment she stopped crying from excitement. She called her father. "Papa, we are getting married." "Hannah, I am asking you again. Please think about this." She felt irritation rise in her chest. "Papa, I love him. I am not a small girl," he replied quietly. Love is not the only thing a marriage needs. She did not call him back for 3 days. The wedding was Joel's family's production entirely. Big hall, caterers, DJ, decorations. Papa Chike came alone, in his best agbada, the one he had sewn himself. He sat among the guests quietly. He watched his daughter dance with a man he did not trust. He ate the food. He shook hands with people he did not know. When he held Hannah before leaving, he held her longer than usual. "Take care of yourself," he whispered. "Whatever happens, you know where home is." She laughed. "Stop worrying, Papa. Everything is fine." Nothing was fine. The first 6 months of marriage felt like the pictures on the wedding invitation. Beautiful and arranged. Joel gave her money, took her on trips, showed her off at his family's events like a trophy he had won. And Hannah confused being displayed for being loved. Then the money shifted. Joel's father reduced his allowance. Something about him needing to learn responsibility. Joel did not take it well. He came home that night with a face Hannah had not seen before. She greeted him. He walked past her. She served his food. He sat and said nothing. She asked what was wrong. He looked at her with an expression she could not name yet. One she would learn to recognize in the months ahead. He said nothing. He stood up. He went to the room. The food sat on the table untouched. 3 days later, she asked again about something. A bill. A small thing. His hand moved before she finished the sentence. The slap was flat and sudden. Hannah stood frozen. Her ear rang. Her face burned. She looked at him. He looked at her. Neither of them spoke. She told herself it was stress. She told herself it was the pressure from his father. She told herself he would apologize. He did not apologize that night. Or the next morning. He simply acted as if it had not happened. And Hannah, who had never been taught that silence after violence is still violence, accepted the silence as peace. If you are still here, hit that subscribe button and like this video. Let us continue, my people. But it happened again and again, each time with a different reason and the same hand. She stopped calling her father as often. She did not want him to hear it in her voice. The thing she had chosen over his warning. The life she had defended with a sharp tongue and a proud chin. She could not give him the satisfaction of being right. And so she stayed. And she suffered. And Joel's hand became a familiar thing in her life. Not welcome, but familiar. Papa Chike sat in his compound in St. Stephen's Town, behind his sewing machine, threading needles and waiting. Because a father who truly loves his child waits, he does not say "I told you so." He waits for the door to open. He keeps the light on. Hannah had stopped calling as much, but Papa Chike still picked up every time she did. His voice never changed, never cold, never sharp. He asked how she was eating. He asked if she was resting well. He did not ask about Joel. He had said what he needed to say. Now he simply made sure she knew the way back to him remained open and unchanged. There were nights Hannah sat in the bedroom after Joel had fallen asleep, and she would hold her phone and scroll to her father's name. She would stare at it, sometimes for a long time. She never pressed call on those nights. But she also never deleted his number. She never moved it from the top of her favorites. There is something a child never fully loses. No matter how far they run or how many wrong turns they take, the memory of a safe place, the sound of a voice that asked for nothing except your well-being. Hannah had not opened the door yet, but the weight was building, and Papa Chike's light was still on, and something would have to give.